I always wanted to farm. And in Germany, there was no ways to get land, to buy land and all that. And in Germany was, as they say, a stiff neck and empty stomach. But it was not too bad, you know. You could go, but I could go. I used to go to a restaurant, and there was a sister from our church. She used to work there, and she used to make me a very good plate, but it was not too much, you know. And sometimes I even went shopping, and I just about ate everything there, whatever I bought, because it was very expensive. But then my brother Leslie and Elitant, you know, they wanted to come to Canada, and we had here my sister Margit and Adam uncle, and so we applied to get into Canada. But I remember going to the Canadian embassy, I think in Frankfurt. I drove with a motorcycle, and there were two Canadian ambassadors who questioned you. And you know, it was amazing how they knew everything about me. Everything. As we talked about before, I was in the army and been found that I'm not a citizen. They knew all about that. They knew about that they had offered me citizenship, and there were two guys questioning, and the one guy asked me, did they ever offer you to step into the Communist Party? I said yes. And he showed me a piece of paper that he had a record that they knew about. And see, that time was sort of what a big question to get into Canada, people of communism, you know, and it paid to be honest and to tell them everything that I knew, and if I would have said to them, no, just, you know, nothing to it, you know, they would have told me, says, don't call us, we call you. And so they got the papers, and very soon we got the papers, and then I remember going to, I think, on a boat, and the boat was a very rough boat, you know. It was a old freighter, and they put it in a passenger thing. They had some bunk beds in it, and I did not got seasick, but I couldn't lift my head because the boat was just but there were people there. But we worked. I remember Latzi uncle and they asked people to come who wants to clean the washroom and what all. And if I recall it proper, they didn't give us money. They give us some chocolate bars, and they give us something. And I remember we did some work, you know. So we arrived in Montreal, you know, and we were just like a parcel. They had a ticket on there, and they kept looking at the ticket, and they put us on the train to go to from Montreal to Toronto. And when we got to Toronto, you know, on the train station, they said, well, wait here till the train comes to go to Kitchener. And we were waiting and waiting and waiting, and train station we walked out, and a guy was there, and he saw that we are foreigners, and he spoke German. And we were very happy, and he said, now just come on down here to the bus station, and the bus will take you to Kitchener. So it was, and I remember the man, I think we had some money. I don't know anymore for sure, but the man was very helpful and put us on the bus. Now we got on that bus. I remember where this man said to the bus driver, I noticed him, but I didn't know what he was talking, but to make sure to tell these people that this is Kitchener, because they don't know, we don't know. And here we were going, there was no big highway, 401 and all, and nothing, but I think if I recall right, was number 8 highway from Toronto to Kitchener. And back roads, and was a sharp curve. And on that sharp curve, it said slow, and a checkerboard. And lots of Uncle Tom says, I don't know where they taken us, says, you know what, I will write down the city name. And he wrote down slow. And driving a while again, and again comes a big sign, and a sharp curve, a checkerboard, and slow. And lots of Uncle says, well, I don't know, must be a big city, but there is no houses. So we just went, and finally we got into Kitchener. And I remember at the bus station, everybody got out of the bus, and then the bus driver said, waved to us and said, well, you come. And he went into the bus station there, and he said, taxi who can speak German. And there came a guy there, he spoke some German, and says, if these people want to go to Earp Street, and they can't speak English, So he took us to Earp Street. And we arrived there, and we got out of the taxi, and the taxi was waiting. And we got on the door, nobody home. We looked into the window, and we saw some pictures, like, I don't know who it was, but Adam Uncle, some familiar pictures, and we knew this was the house. So we told the taxi that it is okay, we are okay here. But door was locked, and we walked around the house, and there was a little window on the basement where they unloaded the coal. I climbed in there, and I went into the basement, and I found that the basement upstairs, and I came upstairs, and I opened the door that Latsi Uncle and Elitan got in. So I remember we washed ourselves, and we looked at the house, and we realized this is the house, there's no problem. we thought all that later on, good thing the police didn't saw us, because he would have arrested us to go into the house. But anyway, I said to Latsi Uncle, says, you know what, look, there is a telephone, and there's a little book. Why don't we find the name, what we think it sounds German? And we call them up, and if they just talk English, we just hang up. So we did, and it was Ludwig Jan. And we thought Ludwig Jan sounds like German, and we called him up. And we said, he spoke German. And I said, Adam Winterstein. Says, oh yeah, 1 minute. And Adam Uncle come on the phone, and I said to him, says, your brother-in-law. Says, I have no brother-in-law in Canada. I don't know who you are. I said to him, yes, you have a brother. And I told them the name. They mixed up I don't know, was it a few days or a week that our arrival, they knew that we will arrive. Oh, then Adam uncle came. He had an old Dodge. I tell you, I remember. I wish we would have that Dodge that had fenders like a tanker anyway. He came and picked us up, and we went to Ludwigian, and it was on a Sunday. They had church service there. And in Kitchener at that time, when we came to Ludwigian, was 2 members in Kitchener. Three members, Margitand, Adam uncle, and Ludwigian. That's all. There was some friends. There was some young people, and I don't know who else was there. Some friends, at the church, and it was nice, And so we were then there by Adam uncle and Margit aunt, and we stayed there, and then Ludwig uncle, he then found some jobs. He was looking. He was very helpful. He used to fix watches. And he found me a job. I'm trying to think now. Was that a contractor? Yes, I think John Bogdansky. And I tell you, it was hard. It was hard work, very hard work. But then he found another job on a farm. A farmer needed a hired man, and I could hardly speak English, but there was a Leo Huber was his name. He spoke a little bit German, but the boss did not speak. But they were nice, and we worked on that farm, and we had a farmhouse. And I think Gary, Betty Tant was expecting Gary, and I remember I took, there was already when we were by Adam uncle, I had a car, an old Chev. And when we got out on the farm, and it was very, how should I say, I got on the farm, I got paid $90 a month. And I had to work there was a farm there, but I had to go to the main farm. But finally, on that farm, that Leo I told was, the house was pretty bad. I remember it was a snowstorm, and the wind blew some snow right on top of our bed. And I told this Leo, and Betty Tant was expecting Gary, and then that Leo told the boss, and the boss was very nice about it. He was a Mennonite, and they came then and they fixed the windows and fixed things there, but then to get how to progress on it, we Betty Tant used to work in a cleaning place, dry cleaning. And then there was some dry cleaning people found that out, Macintosh cleaners, and a big company, and they then tried to get in touch with Betty Tant, and finally she then got a job there, and then they offered me a job to press pants. And I did. I then worked there at the cleaners, and we did not too bad, just to talk about, even by Becker's there, as we had a big farm. It was most dairy farm, but pigs too, and he had an old sow, a really old sow, and that Leo, the foreman, said, well, tomorrow we'll take that sow down and they make dog food out of it. And I said to him, no, I want to buy. No, he said, you cannot. What do you want? He says, you tell Mr. Becker I want to buy that sow. And I had a hard time to convince Mr. Becker, the owner, to buy the sow. And finally he sold me the sow. And those days were not combines to combine corn, but they were corn pickers. And the corn picker used to have a wagon, and every time the wagon, the machine turned, the auger went on the side and the corn fell on the ground. And then I said to Leo there, to the foreman, can I pick that corn? Oh yes, I'm glad if you pick it up, you know. So I picked that corn up and we shelled it. And I did like my dad at home, soaked it in water, put a little bit of salt on it, and I fed that old sow even more. And that sow was just big, I mean very big. Finally then, this Leo, you know, in Air, there was a butcher shop which will clean it. And I remember that when we took it down to clean it, his table broke down where he laid it on and cleaned it. And I told him, says, look, I want everything, just clean it and take the inside out. I want everything along to go. And we did. And I tell you, there was Baumann Bachi, you know, Baumann brother, you know, the father, he used to be an old butcher from the old country, and people used to help a lot. And we made sausage and salami, and I tell you, from that old sow. When I give to Mr. Becker some sausage and salami, he couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it that this is from this old sow. But that was at the Becker's farm. Then when we came into the dry cleaning, you know, we lived upstairs and downstairs was the dry cleaning. It was not too bad, you know. But I remember, I don't know where, but by a farmer I bought a pig and butchered the pig by the farmer, brought it home to the upstairs. We dragged it upstairs and cleaned the pig in the bathtub. And just did not want to clean quite, but then I took a shaver, you know, a razor shaver, and shaved it and cleaned it and made. We tried to save as much as possible. When we were on the farm and I worked for $90 a month, we saved money. Yes. Betty Tan used to work for Mr. Becker, Mrs. Becker. The hydro was changing from, I think, 30 cycles to 60 cycles, something like that, the hydro. And so Betty Tan used to help there in the kitchen and cooking and what all, but we saved money. But then I found a job. I'm trying to think through who, by a furnace factory, furnace making. And I started there, and that was not too bad. We did not too bad. But in the meantime, as I worked by the in the dry cleaning, there was a man. He knew. I used to tell him I like to buy a farm with some creek through it and all that. And oh, he said there all that. And, oh, he said there was one of them. You know, it was just been sold. Well, that's too bad if it is sold. I think the next day he said to me, he says, hey, you know what? That farm is for sale by the guy who just bought it. Let's go and take a look at it. And I tell you, when I went through the lane there and came to that farm, I fell really in love with it. I really liked the place, you know. It was an old house, a stone house, Must be, I would say must be over 100 years old, the house. Big walls, and there was hydro in it, but there was no lights. You had to get the lights in a plug. There here and there was just a plug. There was no toilet in it, There was no running water in it, There was no furnace in it, Well, all that. And then he told me, Mr. Gaiman was his name, but you could find only Mr. Gaiman in the hotel. So I went to Air in a hotel, and I got into the hotel, and I said, is Mr. Thing there? He said, yes, Gaiman. And he said, this is him. He was an old man, and I told him, said, oh, yeah, it is for sale, but he wants $8,000 cash. Where in the world I want to get $8,000 cash when I had that time about, I couldn't tell you exactly, 400 or some dollars debts on a Volkswagen. That's all I had. I had some debts, not. But when I worked at the dry cleaning, right the yard there, was an apartment building, Mr. Ellis. And he used to get his wife down. She had, I think, a stroke, or she was paralyzed, and he used to like to take her for a ride. And then he called me, and I used to help. But I took the lady right in my arms and carried her right down on the stairs, and she was very happy. She talked, she was okay, and he was very happy. And I told him, says, look, when you come home, just come over and I'll take her back there. And then he said to me, just before I found the farm there, he says, you know what, he was very well off, he had a store, and he said, whenever you want to buy something, I'll borrow you some money. And I remember that. Then I went to him and said, look, Mr. Ellis, I found a farm to buy. And, oh yeah, I believe, I couldn't tell you exactly, I think it was $2,000 or borrowed. But in the meantime, Adam Uncle had borrowed some money from a ministering brother from Toronto, Geisberger, he was from Switzerland, and he had a farm, and he helped a lot people, borrowed money out. But Adam Uncle said to me, he says, look, I'm ready to pay the money back. Now, you want to ask Brother Geisberger, I'll give the money to you. So I asked, he says, oh, yeah, just go ahead, give it to him, And so if I count right, I think I had gathered together, I think $3,000 or the $4,000, Then I said to this Mr. Gaiman, says, look, I give you, let's call it $4,000. I give you $4,000 cash, and the other $4,000 I'll pay you off to the end of the year. And he agreed with it, and I bought the farm. But see, the point was mine this. Now, we worked. And I had a lot of help from a lot of people from Kitchener, tradesmen, and Latzi Uncle, or name it, we just turned the place upside down. But in the meantime, I don't want to forget that, in the meantime, there was a brother here, Brother Moore, but he was from the old country. He knew my father. He went to the church where my father and mother went. He went to the church and he had a place there too, where Opmans were, where the members were. And he was here for a visit, I think. And he came out to the farm right in the beginning. I remember him when he said to me, Konrad, if your father would be here, he wouldn't let you buy this place. That's how rough looked out. But we did okay. I worked in a furnace factory. I got there a furnace for to pay off, take off my pay so much, and we put the furnace in it. But this Mr. Gaiman, who used to own it, lived on that farm because he had two apartment buildings, you know. And he lived there, and we put the furnace in, and Latsi uncle put water in it, and we would pump in it, and like I said, we just turned the place because I figured if I cannot get the money to the end of the year, the other $4,000, I can sell it. And I can sell it for more money than what I bought it for. I can't lose anything. But I tell you, it was a tough time. End of the year was coming close. I was looking for money, and there was no way some money. Latsi uncle helped me, and we tried and went, and nothing. There was just nobody would borrow you $4,000. So there was a lawyer. There was a lawyer who was paralyzed in bed, and he had, I don't think it was his wife, it was a girlfriend. And we went to him because people said that he'll maybe can find some money. He wanted, I couldn't tell you anymore, $300 or $400 just to tell me Mr. So-and-so have some money. I said, look, I don't have $400 just for that. Not to borrow, just tell him the Lord. And then I went home. I said, no, I can. But he had my papers, that lawyer. But he was in bed, and his girlfriend was right beside him. So I went home. I said, no, I can't do it. I didn't tell him that I will take it or that anything. And we were sitting out on the porch, and Mr. Gaiman used to come home, and he had a grandson, and he used to drive him because he didn't drive. He was, most of the time, Mr. Gaiman was drunk. And I said to Beditan, says, well, if Mr. Gaiman isn't drunk, I will ask him and tell him that we have a problem with the money, and maybe he'll take the mortgage, you know. And so it was. I remember he come out of the car. He was not drunk. He walked very straight, and he came. But in the meantime, on a Sunday and sometimes even on a Saturday, for the church, they come all out there and they were singing, and this Mr. Gaiman liked that. He used to sit on his porch there and listen to the singing and talking to some other uncle and the rest of them and the family and so forth. But then we told them that we try to find the money and we have some problem. He said, well, Konrad, I know your family and everybody. I'll take the mortgage. I want to tell you, it was such a blessing. And we go tomorrow to the lawyer. And we went to the lawyer, and the lawyer made everything out. And I told him, I'll keep you paying off as much as I just can every month, you know. And he agreed with that, you know, and helped a lot, you know. And we did a lot of work there. We did a lot of, but you know, again, with everything there, as I even spoke before, you know, God was there. We can see, and we should realize that God said, near unto me, I near unto you. And I had experienced that in my life spiritually talking, not anymore materially talking too much. God did. I could have near to God more. Often I said that. I could have served God better. But God was there. Blessed, and we worked, and we prospered, and even then, right there yet, my sister and Fritz uncle came to Canada, and they were here in Hamilton, and back and forth going, So they, and Elitant, and they all of a sudden had an idea. I couldn't even tell you whose idea started that, to start a nursing home. And Fritz uncle and Anustan's house was very big, used to belong to a factory owner, a huge house. And I believe, and I not just believe, I know, had 3 stories, And we started then the nursing home in Hamilton. Betty Tant used to take the bus, and sometimes I take her and go to the nursing home and work there. And I then had a different job working by Royal Metal, Royal Metal, they used to make office desks and hospital beds. And when we started a nursing home, we had to start to get some beds. And then I talked to the plan manager, and he agreed that there is some seconds, and voila, and we bought some beds there. And so we started the nursing home, and then it came the time that Fritz uncle used to be the administrator. He looked after financial things, and he said, it would be better for you to come and work in the nursing home and come to Hamilton. And so it happened. But then in the meantime, in that, national housing come along and want to buy the farm. I did not want to sell it. And they all bothered me and want to buy the farm and back and forth. And the neighbor was Shields. They were Mennonite people, very nice people, very helpful with anything we needed. He was always there. And they wanted to buy the Shield farm and my farm. They wanted to buy there, I think, if I don't mistake, about 3,000 acres. That is the government. And finally, I just did not want to sell. Finally, they were already there, the Shields, and I were the last ones to sell. We made an agreement that if you agree with them to sell, just tell me you agreed, and I know that I will ask even more money. And so it happened that I agreed with it, but just to see how this went. And then when we sort of had agreed with it, the let's call it the real estate, the agent who worked for this national housing was from Toronto. And when he had all the papers there ready, and he wanted me to move out, I couldn't tell you exactly, but in a short time I said no. But he had that on the paper. He says, well, I cannot change this. He says, I don't care what, but I'm not moving out in such short time, And back and forth, and so we went to the lawyer already, and then when we were at the lawyer, now he has to go to Toronto to initial this different time to move out. But that agent said to the lawyer, but I want you, the lawyer should make out a piece of paper that when he goes to Toronto, in case I die, the deal goes through. And the lawyer looked at him, and I thought myself too. And the lawyer said, okay, Mr. Weinhardt will agree with that, but we'll make a piece of paper out that if you are not back in 1 hour, the deal is over. So there was a deal there, finally they agreed with it, and I had a lot of time to move out and come then to Hamilton, and in Hamilton here, the neighbor where we had the nursing home, he was a principal in the school, a retired man, very nice. I don't know anymore his name, and he found me a job by the Board of Education as a caretaker. And I got the job, and it was a good job. I liked it, I enjoyed it. That time I worked 3 places. I worked at the nursing home, helping old people to get a bath. I worked by the Board of Education, and I worked for a Jew, Mr. Benny, fixing machines and repairing and taking apart, 3 jobs. But the best job was the Board of Education. That when I got there, I can take a shower and things, get ready sometimes, and just look after. That time, the Board of Education, we used to look after the ladies who help cleaning, and it was not too bad, but then as we sold the farm, then we bought here a farm in Hamilton, and the farm then what we bought here, again, a lot of work. We bought the farm, and rebuilt everything, and again, I'm coming back to put it in a nutshell, the whole thing God had blessed. God was always sort of would look in a way, put the puzzle together. And we have to realize that God's ways, the Bible says that, is not our way. Sometimes we have a different way thinking, but God said no, this way. And tell you, when I then wanted to buy a farm, and people just thought, well, when I sold a farm in Preston there, why to buy a farm, but I bought. We had a real estate, a very nice man. And I remember coming to the Golly farm where right now is the landfill site. And I remember going in there, and Mrs. Golly was a very nice lady. She was a school teacher, and she want to show me the basement. I said, Mrs. Golly, that's okay. Oh, she thought we'll never buy it. The house was very bad. Nice house, but the basement down there looked like a bunch of pigs were down there and rooted up was no concrete or whatever it was. The house was sinking. The basement main beam, rotted away, and but what we did, I was figuring when I bought it that I will tear the house down and build a brand new house. But then when they moved out, I looked at the house, and it looked to me nice. Oh, bedrooms, nice big bedrooms, nice big kitchen, a porch, what all. So I thought it over, and we tore everything apart. And I dragged in the basement window a steel beam and put it down into the basement and lifted. Gary was, I would say, around 5 years old, something like that. He spoke, he talked already, and I remember him, he was coming in the basement, Dad, Dad, in the attic, something is cracking. That's how it is when we lifted the whole house up. But in the meantime, we straightened it out and chiprocked it and put hydro in it and name it, and then I built a dome and put a pool in it, and a lot of it. Made a workshop, and all these young people came, the Zimmermans and from Toronto, from the church, and made dune buggies. We had a workshop, and they used to bring some old Volkswagen, I remember that. And I used to tell them, says, no, 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 that's good enough, and they cut it in half, and like a dune buggy. And I said, no, no, and they drove halfway down there, and the whole dune buggy fell apart. So they bring it back to the workshop, and we had a swimming pool. I remember one time in the living room, the young people were there. I tell you, there were so many of them there that I was afraid the floor will break down, But anyway, they were nice. It was very nice. God had blessed. God had blessed their young people, and there is even today who are just about retiring. And when I meet them, they said, I remember there the swimming pool, and I made a dome over that, and there was some providrill, the gas well, and so forth, but I don't know what the hydro did. Put a new transformer in it or what, I don't know anymore exactly, but the hydro people were out, and the line what came from the street went right over over the swimming pool. And this hydro inspector saw that, and he says that if any of these lines will break and fall in the pool, and the people in the pool will all die, hydro will kill them. So the hydro people come out and said, you have to move the pool, or do you have to change the hydro? And I said, look, you people, I had a permit. I had a permit from the city to put the pool up. Where was the inspector? And back and forth, and I said, look, I'm not moving anything on it, and then I said to the hydro people, says, you know what? How about you change the hydro? I pay for it, but the city who had made me to move that, should hire the hydro people. And I tell you, I remember when the hydro people came out with a truck, they timed it, see. I never seen people working in a harmony like they did. They even changed my line from the transformer to the barn, because it was a very high price an hour, the hydro people, and I had my transformer and everything, and it wasn't too much. So we changed the hydro and put it in there, and was nice. And not long after that, again the city come along and want to buy the farm to put the landfill side in it. It was quite a battle. But, the people were an anti-dump committee there and all that, quite a big commotion on what all back and forth. But just to tell you a story, not far from here. I made fence for him for a pool, a lawyer, Getty. He drove into the yard in a car and said, Konrad, the landowner this and the landowner that, and back and forth the landowner. I said to him, Getty, I'm a foreigner. You are a lawyer. Can I tell the city I do not sell? Amen. No, you can't do that. They'll come and they will expropriate you, and they will give you a letter of expropriation. You can let that letter fly away with the wind. Don't even pick it up. They'll come in with trucks and take you out. I said to him, Getty, will you take me in when they take me out? Well, he said, if they give you the right price, just sell it. So there was quite a battle with this, even the right price. And they came, and Mr. Leishman was the real estate, city real estate, and back and forth, and now when we agreed with it, this has to come before the council of Hamilton Council, because the Hamilton city bought the property for the landfill site. And I was allowed to go to the council and sit on the balcony and listen to the council. And as this case come along about the landfill site, Mr. Leishman laid this before the council. I remember one councilman got up and said, what does this Mr. Weinhardt think? And Mr. Leishman said to him, you go and deal with them. And the council agreed, because I would not move. I said to him, just leave it alone. But then it was quite I remember Gary, Frankie, I think Gary or the Frankie, I was quite worried. And one of them said to him, Dad, the Bible says worrying is a sin. And I thought myself, oh, that's right. I said to him, you know what, I'm just concerned. And it was. But again, I'm coming back to the Lord. The Lord had, you see, the thing was this, when this whole process was going through, the farm here where we are now, was for sale. And I liked the place and all that, and sort of what I made a down payment on here, and bought it, But then, again, the Lord had blessed, and there, even the landfill side farm where they bought, I had lots of time to move out, I had lots of time. There was time to move out. Yeah. I think we have enough. Just move the farm, then that's it. Yeah. Getting 12 o'clock.